Welcome back to Maryland Today. Join me this morning. Always a pleasure to have her here. And first time back of the new year,
Yes.
Deanna Booker, financial expert and spokesperson and manager of community outreach and communications at Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware. Deanna, thanks for coming by.
Jeff, thank you for having me.
Happy New Year, I guess. I mean, I know we're a
Happy
couple
New
weeks into
Year.
it, but I haven't seen you yet, so I feel like I should say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
And this is the time of year when a lot of people make resolutions, and one of those resolutions that seems to always pop up is about finances here. Why are financial resolutions so popular?
Well, I think that most of us would agree that how we manage our money helps determine our quality of life, kind of. It affects us on so many different levels, everything from where we live to what we can afford to do to how we get along with our loved ones. So I think the uncertainty that we've faced in the economy these past few years has also made us more cautious, about how we handle our money and the things that we're doing. We recognize the financial decisions that we make now can affect us for years to come. So I think these factors combined with increased access we all have to information, it's all just empowering us. I think it's about empowerment to make personal changes and sort of take control of our finances.
How many people would you say, if they were surveyed about their New Year's resolutions for 2014, are hoping to make changes in how they handle their personal finances?
Oh my gosh, it varies. And you can look at all these polls that are out there. But there's one that's really interesting. It was Fidelity Investments' New Year's resolution study. 54% of the people who took part in that poll for 2014 said they plan to make changes in their financial habits this year. That's the highest number since they started doing that poll 5 years ago. So that's huge. So I think a lot of folks have that mindset.
What are some of the personal finance changes that people hope to make this year? I'm sure there are some topics that are more popular than others.
There are. And a big one was saving more. Sure. That was the financial resolution that was listed most often. 54% of those who plan to make a financial change said that they hope to save more this year. I think something like 25% said that their big thing was to pay off debt. And 19 or 20 or so percent said they plan to spend less. Consumers also listed things like developing a long-term goal plan and making and sticking to a budget. They listed those kind of things as resolutions that they're trying to pursue also.
Those are all great goals and
Sure.
some that I've used for myself in the past, or at least tried to accomplish in the past. But let's take a look at each of them and see how those of us with similar plans can achieve our own resolutions. Where do you want to start here?
Well, I think a good place to start is with the basics. To make a true change, in the way that you're managing your money, the first thing you have to do is know where you stand financially. And that means taking a look at your personal budget. How much money do you have coming in? This is the kind of stuff we're talking about all the time. How much money do you have coming in? How much money do you have going out, for expenses? How much do you have left once all the bills are paid? If you've never had a budget, it's a great time to set one up. It really is a great time to start with that basic step. At Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware, we have a free interactive tool on our website that can help you. We're offering free confidential budget counseling at our offices throughout the metropolitan area in Salisbury and over the phone. So I think starting with that budget plan, that budget setup, that's the best place.
Okay, so I've taken a look at where I stand, and I've got a budget in place. Now, if my goal is to save more this year, how can I make that goal a reality?
Well, I think the way to do that is to plan to pay yourself first. For example, every time your paycheck is direct deposited into your checking account, have your bank or have your credit union get an assigned amount or take an assigned amount and put that from your checking account into your savings account. That's an easy way to start creating that little nest egg. And even small amounts. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. Small amounts that you contribute regularly are going to add up over time, because the amount is automatically deducted from your check. You're not going to miss it, and it's a good way to start building that savings. So I think that's one of the ways to do it.
I would think that most people would say that they want to be able to save more, but a lot of us live on a limited budget, and it can be easier said than done. How can listeners who are on some sort of limited budget free up more money for savings?
Right. I think if you don't have money left once the bills are paid, you've got to start looking for ways to cut back on personal expenses. This is an example I always throw out. Saving just 50 cents a day in loose change leads to an extra $180 a year.
Okay.
Eating out 2 times less per month can lead to an annual savings of more than $350. So you want to start stretching your dollars, make it go farther. Comparison shop before you buy groceries or clothes or whatever essential items you're looking for. From a long-term perspective, I think listeners have to make sure that they're fully utilizing everything that's available. So one of the things I'm talking about, a big example, is your employee savings plan. Despite the negative economy, many employers are still offering a match on 401ks and that kind of thing. So you want to make sure you're taking advantage. You want to make sure that you're, getting that dollar that they're going to put out for every dollar that you put in. And the sooner you start, the more you're going to have saved, as it comes closer to time for retirement. Look at other things. Consider applying any additional revenue you receive, like from a tax refund, that kind of thing. Put those kinds of things toward your savings. You really just have to start concentrating on how you can cut back and increase your savings at the same time.
Okay, so we're talking here a little bit about how to save more, but let's move on. How can we make sure that we spend less in 2014?
Yes. The first step to that is figuring out exactly where your money goes. Really, it really is. So you want to keep maybe a spending journal to do something like that. Keep it for a month. Every time you spend a dime, every time you put money out for any purchase, write it down. Write down how much you spent, what you spent it on, and then take some time to review that journal. Try to determine, which purchases did you really need to make? Is there something I could have cut back on? Were there things that I just wanted, that I bought on impulse, maybe that I didn't need? And then make a pledge to limit the amount that you're spending on those kinds of non-essential things, in the months to come. You want to really be in control of your spending.
Well, once we've reduced the amount that we spend on these non-essentials, as you called them, are there any other ways to spend less?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Go back to your budget and look for ways to cut back on expenses like we were talking about, whether it's for food or transportation or communication. For example, if you want to spend less on food, consider reducing the amount that you spend eating out at work. Bring your lunch from home. Take a brown bag. Buy food that's in season. Use coupons, all that kind of thing. We're spending a great deal of money, a lot of us, on entertainment, on cell phone packages, all that kind of thing. If you currently are subscribing to cable channels or satellite or whatever it might be, consider cutting back on those. Do you really need 500 HBOs? How can we cut back? Look for phone plans that are going to provide you with the best value, but that don't, charge more for extra texting or extra data or whatever it is. We just have to start thinking about those common things that we're spending money on that we maybe might not realize really how much we're spending and figuring out how we can scale it back.
A problem that I think a lot of people have, and probably one of the big reasons why spending less and saving is always a resolution at the beginning of the new year, is that people spend too much around Christmas. Mm-hmm. If I went a little overboard at Christmas, how can I make sure that I pay off what I owe?
Yeah, I want to encourage everybody to make 2014 the year that you get your credit card debt under control once and for all. This is the time. By paying down your balance, you're going to have more left to pay the bills that really matter, and you're going to have more for saving. Over time, that's going to improve your credit, improve your score. So if you went overboard, during the holiday time, now is really the time to jump on figuring out how you're going to get those balances down. If you qualify, you might be able to transfer, your current credit card balance to a card with a lower, even with a 0%, introductory interest rate. The thing is, you want to avoid making new charges with that card. Even if you can't get something like that, even if you aren't able to qualify for something like that, don't give up. Really, really stick to your guns. Strive to pay more than the minimum, monthly. So you just want to make this the year that you get that debt under control. So you just have to continue to look for ways to increase your income, reduce your spending, so you have more to put towards getting those bills down.
All right, so what recommendations do you have for listeners who are seriously in debt and have tried unsuccessfully to get their finances back on track?
Well, if you've tried to work with your creditors and if you still haven't been able to get your debt under control, it might be time to ask for some outside help. But before you call and make an appointment with an outside agency, do your homework. Make sure they're reputable. Before you enroll with the debt management group, ask a lot of questions. How long has the agency been in business? Does it belong to a national trade organization like the National Foundation for Credit Counseling? Those kinds of organizations set high standards and they require their members to be accredited. So is the place you're considering involving yourself with, are they, do they belong to an organization like that? Does the agency charge fees for setting up or for maintaining your account? Are its counselors trained and certified? You need to know all that kind of information before you decide to go with someone.
I've definitely seen this before. I hear about organizations who say they can negotiate with your creditors and, bring down your debt so you owe pennies on the dollar. Does it make sense to seek help from one of these debt settlement companies?
The truth is, most debt settlement companies are for-profit organizations. This means that they may charge a large fee for their services. There's some unscrupulous debt settlement companies out there, and they're often advertising that they can negotiate reductions of 50% or more, on the debt that you owe. And that sounds really tempting and it sounds really good. A lot of the times it's not true, though. If a debt is paid through settlement, it generally shows up as paid by settlement on your credit report. So that's going to impact you. That's going to affect your ability maybe to get loans and apply for things and be approved for things in the future, credit cards and different sorts of things. You may also owe taxes on the forgiven debt, that you didn't pay. So you have to really understand settlements are a little trickier than a lot of times these agencies make them out to be.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about CCCS of Maryland and Delaware's credit counseling program?
Absolutely. Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware is a nonprofit agency. We've been in business since 1966, and we help thousands of clients deal with their budgets and pay their debts every year. We are offering free, confidential advice. We're affiliated, again, with a trade organization, like I mentioned before, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, independently accredited by the Council on Accreditation. This means that we're required to maintain those rigorous quality and professional performance standards. And I know it sounds like I'm blowing a really big horn here for us, but I am, because it's important. It really is. You really have to know that about an agency. All of our counselors are trained and certified. And when they're going through a session with a client, they're really helping clients figure out where they stand financially, helping them set up budgets and review their repayment options. What are the best situations? What are the best opportunities, for clients? What's going to be the best things to help them get back on track? And they put them in contact. We put them in contact with other services, other community organizations who might be able to help them. If clients need extra help, dealing with their debts, they might qualify for a low-cost debt management program, which we're providing them some structure, a plan to help pay their debts back and get their bills paid down, provide them with the additional support that they need. I know it sounds like I'm horn tooting, but it's because I am. We're helping clients not only in the here and now to get those debts paid and to, get things back on track, but also we're providing them with financial skills, new habits, new behaviors that are going to be able to help them through the rest of their lives, when it comes to managing their finances.
So how can listeners who need this type of help get an appointment with CCCS?
It's so easy. They just have to call us at 1-800-642-2227. Visit our website, cccs-inc.org. They can learn all about it. We're offering counseling sessions by phone and at our offices all throughout the Baltimore area.
Well, Deanna, it's about that time again. We're sort of running out of time here. I know, it's so sad. But before I let you go, I always like to ask you if you have any parting advice before we kick you out.
I do, as a matter of fact, before you kick me out. No, I do, as a matter of fact. I would just encourage listeners to stick to those resolutions. You've made them. You've got your goals in mind. Make this the year that you do it. If what your goals are seem a little big, they might seem a little overwhelming, break them down. Put a time frame around how you want to get things done, but don't let anything dissuade you this year from making those changes that you want to make. Revisit your resolutions often. Make sure you're still on pace to get them done. I think it's all about the more you know. The more you know about yourself, about your financial situation, the better chance you have to really make these changes and really go from them and grow from them. So take advantage of all the resources that are out there that we offer. You can visit our site, cccs-inc.org. Call us at 1-800-642-2227. But don't give up. Don't give up. Make this the year that you do it.
Well, Deanna Booker from CCCS of Maryland and Delaware, always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for all this wonderful information.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us this and every week for Maryland Today.